My name is Indira, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for today's proceedings. As ASEAN stands at a crucial momentum in its energy and climate journey, as one of the fastest growing economic regions in the world, the demand for energy continues rise, with fossil fuels still accounting for a large share of energy mix. This makes the energy sector both a driver of economic growth and a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. To achieve a sustainable, secure, and low carbon energy future, linking the SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals is important. Therefore, we try to link the SDG number 7, affordable and clean energy, and also number 13 about climate action as our essential action to connect the nexus between the energy and climate sector. Climate policies, mitigation efforts, and adaptation strategies can serve as powerful enablers for clean energy technologies, green finance, and a just and inclusive energy transition. In recognition of this interlinkage, ACCEPT, or ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project, has developed a study titled Advancing Green Energy in ASEAN, leveraging the interlinkage between SDG 7 and 13, which will be officially launched today. The study highlights ASEAN's progress toward SDG 7 and explores how stronger climate action under the SDG 13 could be achieved and deployed through policy integration, financing, and resilience building. Following the ceremonial launch, we will proceed with a presentation and panel discussion that will further explore the content and also the key highlights of the study. And ladies and gentlemen, to officially commence today's session, we will now hear the opening remarks on behalf of Dato Razib Dawood, the Executive Director of the ASEAN Center for Energy, which will be delivered on his behalf by Dr. Zulfikar Yurnaidi, the Manager of Energy Modeling and Policy Planning Department in ACE. So, Dr. Zulfikar, the floor is yours.
As introduced, my name is Zulfikar, and I'm here on behalf of our Executive Director, Dato Razib Dawood, and I will be reading his welcoming remarks. Good morning, distinguished delegates, esteemed speakers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure, on behalf of Dato Razib Dawood, Executive Director of the ASEAN Center for Energy, to welcome you all to this session on advancing clean energy in ASEAN, leveraging the interlinkages between SDG 7 and SDG 13. Allow me first to convey our warm greetings to Mr. Knut Granli, Deputy Head of Mission of the Royal Norwegian Embassy in Kuala Lumpur, whose presence today reflects the continued partnership between the ASEAN and Norway in advancing clean energy and climate collaboration. I would also like to acknowledge our distinguished panelists, Professor Leong Yuen Yung, Dr. Christopher Len, and Ms. Ye Jin Ha. Thank you for joining us and for sharing your perspective with us today. Over the past decade, ASEAN has come a long way in expanding energy access, improving efficiency, and introducing more renewables into our system. Yet, we know this journey is far from over. The 8th ASEAN Energy Outlook, or the AO8, reminds us why. It projects that under its baseline scenario, the region's final energy demand could rise to 2.6 times the 2022 level by 2050. That figure is not just a number, it is a call to action. It tells us that the way we plan, invest, and cooperate must evolve faster than ever before. To meet this challenge, we cannot view energy and climate separately. Achieving SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, is inseparable from advancing SDG 13, climate action. Climate policies, adaptation efforts, and mitigation strategies are what make cleaner technologies viable. They open doors for green finance, innovation, and resilient energy infrastructure across our region. Today's session also marks the launch of the report, Advancing Clean Energy in ASEAN. Developed under the ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project, or ACCEP, this study examines how stronger climate action can accelerate access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all. It shows that when policy, data, and cross-sector cooperation come together, we can move from ambition to implementation. We sincerely thank the government of Norway through the Norwegian ASEAN Regional Integration Program for their support in advancing this agenda. Their partnership continues to strengthen ASEAN's collective capacity to respond to the dual priorities of energy security and decarbonization. Of course, I also would like to extend my appreciation to the ACCEP2 team, whose hard work and commitment made this study and today's session possible. And before we proceed, I am pleased to share an important milestone. The ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, or APAIC 2026-2030, was officially endorsed yesterday during the ASEAN Ministers on Energy meeting, or AMEM. This new APAIC represents ASEAN's collective direction for the next 5 years, one that accelerates decarbonization while ensuring that the transition remains just, inclusive, and people-centered. We will have a dedicated presentation and discussion on the new APAIC later today at 2:30 p.m. in this 25th IBF, and I warmly invite everyone to join that session as we share more about its priorities and implementation pathways. I hope today's discussion will inspire new ideas and partnership that link energy and climate priorities, align policy and finance, and strengthen regional collaboration. Together, let us continue building a secure, sustainable, and inclusive ASEAN energy future. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone a productive and engaging discussion ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Zulfikar, for delivering the opening remarks on behalf of Dato' Razib Dawood. The next, it is my great pleasure to invite Mr. Knut Granli, Deputy Head of Mission of Royal Norwegian Embassy in Kuala Lumpur, to deliver his remarks. Mr. Knut, the floor is yours.
Distinguished guests and speakers, good morning. Thank you for the invitation and the warm welcome. And allow me to start by extending my warm greetings to partners and colleagues from the ASEAN Center for Energy, to partners and colleagues also from ICEA's Yusuf Isaac Institute, and from the UN ESCAP and UN SDSN. It is a true pleasure to be here today. The ASEAN Business Energy Forum has long been a flagship platform for dialogue and partnership among ASEAN stakeholders to advance the region's collective energy ambition. And Norway is very proud to be a part of this effort. Today's session and the launch of a new report represents a milestone. The report being launched offers timely insights into how SDG 7 on affordable and clean energy and SDG 13 on climate action can strengthen one another. It underscores that aligning climate action with energy access not only accelerates decarbonization, but also promotes innovation, creates new jobs, and enhances resilience. Norway is delighted to have supported this important work through the ACCEP2 project, a partnership between ASEAN Center for Energy and the Norwegian Institute for International Affairs. ACCEP has also contributed to developing the carbon neutrality scenario in the 8th ASEAN Energy Outlook. offering a regional pathway to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. And it has contributed to shaping the theme of the ASEAN Plan of Energy Cooperation 2076 to 2030, placing a just and inclusive energy transition at the heart of ASEAN's next 5-year energy blueprint. These are concrete and lasting contributions to ASEAN's policy architecture. We recognize that every region's pathway is unique. That is why partnership like ACCEPT are so important. It allows us to learn from one another, to combine global knowledge with regional realities, and to ensure that policies and investments reflect the diverse need of ASEAN member states. Norway greatly values its role as ASEAN sectoral dialogue partner, and we see ASEAN as a key actor in advancing global climate action. Norway is deeply committed to ambitious climate action as reflected in our national determined contribution under the Paris Agreement. We aim to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 compared to the 1990 levels, and to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. Our priorities for the green transition focus on accelerating deployment of renewable energy, advancing electrification, and investing in innovative solutions such as carbon capture and storage. These priorities are integral to our efforts to decarbonize key sectors and support a sustainable, inclusive energy future. Our long-standing collaboration with many ASEAN countries began with the basis of being an oil and gas nation, a oil and gas producing country, laying the foundation for trust and shared expertise. Today, these partnerships are centered around renewables and a broader green shift. Norway can share expertise and know-how with ASEAN from decades of experience in hydropower development, being a global frontrunner in carbon capture and storage. We aim to support ASEAN's transition toward a low-carbon economy while fostering innovation and sustainable growth for all. Norway stands ready to continue this partnership with ASEAN, building on the strong foundation already established. Together, we can ensure that ASEAN's energy transition is not only fast and sustainable, but also inclusive for all. Let me conclude by congratulating the ASEAN Center for Energy for its leadership and hard work in delivering this publication, and by reaffirming Norway's continued commitment to supporting ASEAN's clean energy and climate goals. May you all have fruitful discussions onwards. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Mr. Knut, for your kind remarks. May I kindly request you to remain on the stage as we now proceed to the symbolic launching of the report. I would also like to invite Dr. Zulfikar and Ms. Aldila, Project Manager of the ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project, to join us on stage for a group photo to mark this special occasion. Now, I would like to also invite our panelists to join us for the group photo. Dr. Christopher Lan, Ms. Yejin Ha, and Professor Yuan Yung Leon, please come to the stage to take a group picture. I would also invite the ACCEPT team, Mr. Muhammad Rizky Krisnawan and Mr. Muhammad Ilham Rizaldi, to join the group picture. Okay, thank you everyone. You may go back to your seat. Okay, before we move to the discussion, we will first hear a presentations about the study itself. It is my pleasure to invite Mr. Muhammad Rizky Krisnawan, Senior Research Analyst of ACCEPT 2 at ACE, to deliver his presentations. Mr. Rizky, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Indira. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Muhammad Rizky Krisnawan. So, I'm the senior officer from modeling and policy planning, which also senior research analyst from ACCEPT project. So today I would like to take you, all of you, to the journey through ASEAN clean energy transition and how the interlinkage between the SDG 7 and also SDG 13 that can shape more sustainable, inclusive future for our region. These insights is coming from the analysis done by ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project teams, which this is the first initiative in ASEAN to truly connect energy and also climate policy at the regional level. ACCEPT is not just another regional project. It's a bridge between data and policy, between energy and climate, and most importantly, between ambition and action. Through knowledge exchange, capacity building, and promoting inclusivity, it helps ASEAN prepare for a just and low carbon future. I'm going to the analysis and also the study. So ASEAN has made remarkable progress. Electrification nearly universal at 97.6%. We have expanded renewables and reduced energy intensity. But when we look closer, there are still a mixed picture in terms of one of them is progressing, but also persisting gaps that we encounter in these recent years. Electricity access is almost universal, yet the clean cooking tells another story. So over 126 million people in ASEAN still lack access to modern cooking solutions. Energy access isn't just about electricity. It's about dignity, health, and equity. And many rural communities are still waiting to be equal. In this slide, you can see that the renewables are rising, especially in power generation. You can see that this is the total renewable energy share in total final energy consumption. So in 2022, we landed almost around 16%. This is another improvement that we have at regional level. So one of the ASEAN's quieter achievement is the energy efficiency. We have reduced energy intensity by nearly 25%. It's not as visible as solar panels and turbines, but also one of the most powerful tools for climate actions. Saving energy is often cheaper than producing it. However, those ambitions needs financing. We received around 1 billion in 2023 for clean energy finance, but still far below the needed for a region of our size. Renewable capacity has surged, and it will take far more investment in the future and the regional mechanism to scale this transition moving forward. And here is the crossroads that we face. Rural communities remain underserved while coal dependence is still growing, almost doubling in the capacity over a decade. This shows our dilemma. How do we expand energy access without locking in emission? In this slide, you can see that energy transition is not only about the technology, but it's about the people. As income rise, so do emissions. But countries with better human development also show stronger renewable energy adoption. So the question becomes, how do we ensure a transition that uplifts people, not leaves them behind? When we are doing the cross map of SDG 7, also 13, an important message emerged. We are progressing in energy, but climate action is stagnating. We are moving, but not enough, and not yet in synchronize. To progress, these two agendas must reinforce each other, not run in parallel. And the next slide is actually talking about the NDC commitment between ambition and also implementations. All ASEAN member states have strengthened their NDCs, expanding targets and also policies. The ambition is there, but the implementation remains the real test, especially without adequate climate finance and also institutional support. In this slide, you can see that there is a rise of green finance. There is encouraging momentum. ASEAN is developing taxonomies, expanding green bonds from under 1 billion to almost 13 billion USD in just a few years. The region is sending a clear message to investors. We are ready, but now we need the scale and also alignment. And then we're talking about all of the problems that I just mentioned. Here's the theory of change of this study. So the first one, we try to connect it all between the policy, finance, and also inclusion. This TOC actually helps us to link the short-term inputs to long-term transformation. It's a roadmap for a just transition, not ensuring no country, no community is left behind. This is the findings that we have. So you can see that SDG 7 and also 13 are actually interdependent. And then the second, we have the progress, and then we can see the progress. The progress is visible, but it's still uneven between one to another countries. And then the third one is actually the climate action is advancing quite slowly. But we understand that finance has set boundaries of what we can achieve and then what needs to be achieved. Institutions and data strongly influence the result. So this is the findings that we encounter when we do the analysis. And then based on these findings, we also encounter any opportunities arise after we do the analysis. The first one is about the energy access that can be framed as a climate solution. The second one, the regional cooperations, provides a platform like the one that we have under ASEAN Energy Blueprint, APAEC, post-2026. The third one is about the people. Inclusivity strengthens the transition because it's bringing the sense of belonging of people to the community as well. Fourth one, financial innovation is opening new pathways. We need more financing mechanism. The money is there, but we need more financing mechanism that many people can tap in to increase their access to electricity. Last but not least, as actually together, this opportunity highlights the tools of ASEAN that can use to move forward. This is the report that we just published. So I think in closing, the convergence of SDG 7 and also 13 is not a challenge. It's an opportunity for us, all of us in this room. The decision we make today will define ASEAN's role in the global energy transition. If we embrace cooperation, innovation, and also inclusivity, ASEAN can become a global leader in sustainable development. So my name is Muhammad Rizky Krisnawan. Thank you so much for your attention.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rizky, for your insightful presentations about the key highlights of the report itself. Now, we move to highlights of today's session, our panel discussion, which will explore more how ASEAN can harness climate action to accelerate clean energy access and advance a just and inclusive energy transition. To lead this discussion, it is my pleasure to hand over the floor to our moderator, Mr. Muhammad Ilham Rizaldi, Research Analyst of ACCEPT2 at ACE. So, Mr. Ilham, please, the floor and time is yours. Please give a round of applause for him.
Okay, thank you very much, MC. Assalamualaikum and good morning to all the panelists and distinguished guests today. Very happy to be here at Kuala Lumpur, and I hope everyone have a great time so far. So my name is Ilham. I'm a research analyst from the ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project, and it's a privilege for me to be able to moderate this session. So just want to paint a picture for the discussions today. So previously, we have presentation from my colleague that have presented the findings and also the progress on SDG 7s. And then we also touch upon how the potential of interconnecting energy policy planning and also the climate action in SDG 13 could have the potential for us to increase our efforts to energy transition and sustainable energy future. But that is giving us the overview, but certainly it all depends on the implementations. So I think that is where our discussion wants to see. So we wanted to explore more what is happening on the ground, to explore what are the strategies that can be implemented in the ground, and also hearing from the expert perspectives on what are the actions that are needed to turn these ambitions into reality. So today, fortunately, I'm joined by an excellent group of expert panelists representing different perspectives, and I would like to invite them one by one. So the first one, we'd like to invite Ms. Yi Jin-ha. She is the Economic Affairs Officer from the Energy Division at the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, or in short, ESCAP. So please give a round of applause to Ms. Yi Jin-ha. Thank you, Ms. Jin-ha. Thank you. So for the second panelist here, I would like to invite Dr. Christopher Len. He is the acting coordinator of the Climate Change in Southeast Asia program at the IC's Yusof Ishak Institute. Please give a round of applause. Thank you. And the third one, I would like to invite Professor Leong Hyun Jung. She is the Director of Sustainability Studies at the UN Sustainable Development Solution Network, or in short, it's SDSN. Thank you very much, Dr. Yan. Please have a seat. And last but not least, I would like to invite again my colleague, Mr. Muhammad Rizky Krisnawan, Senior Research Analyst of the ASEAN Center for Energy. Please give a round of applause to Rizky. Okay, I think everything's set, so please allow me to sit. So thank you everyone for having being with us today, and it's really a privilege to have such diverse panelists inside us. So maybe before we start our discussions here, let's take a step back here. Just want to also, it will be a great chance for the panelists to introduce each one myself by also answering my questions. So I think we've seen that the ASEAN has made progress on energy access and clean energy. That has been presented. But we also know that linking energy and climate action is complex, especially as countries continues to balance economic growth, resilience, and inclusivity. So maybe my first question to all the panelists is, so from your perspective and your experience, how do you see ASEAN's progress so far in bringing together energy development and climate action? I think we can start maybe first from Ms. Yijin and then going to continue to Mr. Rizky. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this very auspicious event, and congratulations to ACE for launching such an excellent report. As introduced, I'm with the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, ESCAP, which is headquartered in Bangkok, Thailand. So since I've joined the Energy Division in ESCAP 2 years ago, I've noticed a remarkable momentum building within the ASEAN region towards increasing cooperation that is underpinned by this need to decarbonize and accelerate energy transition. So I'm very encouraged by all of the work that has been going on. That's surrounded and led by the ASEAN Power Grid, for example, and also the APAEC milestones. The last previous APAEC set a regional target for renewable integration at 23%, I understand. And unfortunately, that target was not met due to a variety of reasons. However, this next phase of PIAC went further and is going to target 30% of renewable integration. And that ambition, I think, and the shared vision among the ASEAN countries is a very important kind of a step and in the right direction, because now we are saying the NDCs have to be more ambitious to realize the Paris Agreement goals. And that regional target translated into ambitious national goals will be kind of the drive that will enable faster decarbonization and energy transition. And that is the linkage between the SDG 7 and 13, where both of those goals will come together and accelerate the energy transition towards meeting the Paris Agreement goals and also ensuring sustainable future. So yeah, I'll stop here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher Lan. I'm from the ISIS Yusof Ishak Institute. I'm currently acting coordinator for the Climate Change in Southeast Asia program. And for those of you who are not aware, we actually publish an annual survey called the State of Southeast Asia Climate Outlook. So this is a survey where we examine public attitudes across all 10 ASEAN countries towards climate change, energy transition, and food security. So I would invite everybody to take a look at our report if you have the time, because it's quite a lot of interesting data there, because we are looking at the general perceptions from the general population across all 10 ASEAN countries. And I think the findings from our study sends an important message, a data-driven message to the politicians about the need for more action and the willingness of the general population to be part of that process, right? Including the willingness to pay. So coming back to your question, linking SDG 7 and SDG 13, I think how I would put it is that energy drives climate progress. Energy is the engine, climate change is the compass, right? ASEAN has made important strides in connecting energy developments with climate action, but as what we have seen in the report that's just been released, there's a lot more to be done. The journey is only the beginning. We have electrification rates that's near universal coverage, but the deployment of renewable energy is just 15%. So I think we need to and we can do better. And the second thing is that when ASEAN members make energy plans, what we see now is that there's that socialization that has been taking place. And whenever they talk about energy, they are linking it with reference to their climate pledges, right? So nearly all their energy plans are sort of with the nationally determined contributions in mind and with the aim of setting a net zero target. But of course, there are still gaps we see, you know, especially in terms of the clean cooking solutions, 120 million people, that's a lot of people, a lot more we can do. And then we also see quite uneven transition between the countries. And basically, I think my main point is that the more we align clean energy deployment with climate resilience, the faster we drive down emissions, and then at the same time, we can lift the communities.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please, Dr. Prof. Leong. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this joyous event of the launch of your important report. My name is Leong Yuan Yung, and I'm from the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Networks, the Asia headquarters that is hosted at Sunway University. And I'm co-leading a project called the ASEAN Green Future, which looks at the decarbonization of technical systems and the recarbonization of ecosystems in Southeast Asia. So, from my perspective, ASEAN's progress in combining energy development with climate action is best described as aspirational and yet uneven. I see that the region has developed robust frameworks for doing this, but its implementation depends on the national priorities as well as political will. Now, on the aspirational front, we see a clear commitment at the regional level. And we can see that in the most recently launched, the APEC number 3, 2026 to 2030, that aims for 30% of RE share in total primary energy supply, 45% of RE power generation capacity, and a 40% reduction in emission in energy intensity by 2030 compared to the 2005 levels. So these region-wide targets, they demonstrate a collective strategic will to actually combine energy development and climate action. However, where is the uneven part? The difficulty lies in implementation. And we see that there are countries that are still struggling with its internal conflicts. Like an example would be Myanmar, with its suspended Midsun Dam, where we see the social economic development imperatives clashing with the desire to protect the environment. And that has led to an energy paralysis for this country. However, we also see some more promising models emerging. For example, in Laos. Here, the focus on transmission is shifting from a domestic challenge to regional strength. For example, the EDLT joint venture that was formed in 2020 is working to modernize the grid of the entire country. And they have a goal of expanding export capacity to 10,000 megawatt for ASEAN member states. Now, this is crucial because it shows a country leveraging on its renewable energy resources while simultaneously strengthening its grid into a regional grid, which is a piece of important climate resilience infrastructure. Okay, I'll stop here.
Okay, I think all the answers is already covered. So I'm just bringing the perspective from Accept project, because I think the reason that the Accept project is come up is actually we need to deal with this. We need to break the silos between energy sector and also climate sector. So we are struggling in the beginning on how we try to incorporate ideas of including the aspect of energy transition, decarbonization, and those kind of things in the blueprint. So I think it started by increasing the capacity building of the policymakers and also the one who decide what kind of regulation that needs to be included. So I think for my point of view, I think it's the progressing, it's stagnant, but we need to increase the capacity. This is the main crucial things that as long as we can increase the capacity of the knowledge of the policymakers and also more and more people understand the importance of to linkage between this energy sector and also climate sector. I think moving forward, it's really crucial for us to increase the knowledge and also the effect to more people in ASEAN later on. So I think that's my point of view, Ilham.
Thank you very much, everyone, for very insightful answers and also a lot of things that can be unpacked. I think we also already touched about SDG 7 and SDG 13. Maybe to start with the discussion, we can jump into for the progress on SDG 7. So maybe I would like to ask the questions to Rizky just to elaborate on the progress on SDG 7. So Rizky, the report here shows that ASEAN's electrification rate has reached around 97.6%, which is obviously remarkable achievements so far. But I think if we see it from the graph there, there's already slowing down, like from 2020, 2030. So, I mean, how does the report interpret this progress? Are we seeing that the progress here is becoming more challenging as countries move closer to full energy access, electrification, and also what are the remaining challenges and opportunities you see here?
So yeah, thank you so much for the question, Ilham. So I think the important things of achieving the energy access is we get to proper equal access to everyone. So it's not like we are installing solar PV and then they got access only for 4 hours or 6 hours, but we need to provide them in full access. So that's why it's really important to increase to tackle the challenge remaining in the last mile of the energy access. But the thing is, these people that live outside of the rural, even in a rural area, is something that still needs the infrastructure to get there. It's really important to build infrastructure to get the access, the proper access, because it's not equal between person who lives in urban and also people who lives in rural communities. So I think one of the solution is actually increasing the grids. So I think one of them is in ASEAN right now we are increasing we are enhancing the MOU of ASEAN Power Grid. So this is one of the things. It's not only talking about the business, but also how the people in the rural communities get the access of this type of energy access. So that's for electricity access. And then the second one is something about clean energy, clean cooking access. In terms of clean cooking access, there's still a lot of challenges because there's something that we need to improve in terms of policies, in terms of how the technology can be absorbed well for the rural communities, transition from cook stove like using wood into LPG might be different ball game for them. So I think we're not talking yet about they got the access of a clean cook stove like electric cook stove. So this is also different things that they needs to understand. So increasing the capacity, how can they understand to move forward? I think this is really important. So those two is really crucial for us at this moment.
Thank you very much, Rizky. I think thank you for pointing out those opportunities as well and what needs to be done. Then that leads us to next question here. I would like to ask Ms. Yijin, because I think ESCAP has been long supporting countries across Asia Pacific on universal energy access. And as the region works towards universal energy access, could you share maybe how ESCAP, as the coordinating and implementing body for SDGs in the region, is supporting efforts to reach these last mile communities and also encourage collaboration across ASEAN and broader Asia Pacific to expand clean and renewable energy access?
Thank you. So ESCAP also produces a flagship publication that's called the Regional Trend Report, which looks at progress of SDG 7 across all of the Asia Pacific. And the findings are quite similar to the ACE report that was just launched. And really, the last mile electrification is all about reaching those remote communities and underserved areas. And how that has to be done, there are three components, basically. There's technology, there's financing, and there's regulation. So for the technology part, we are seeing every day new technology being developed and the prices of technology decreasing and becoming more accessible. However, technologies like more commonly solar rooftops, mini grids, and now you have mini hydro power plants. You have hybrid between biomass and solar. So all of these new technologies are out there. It's just that these all require high upfront costs. So integrating these renewable technologies into the underserved communities requires then the financing. So from the financing angle, there are many different tools, instruments, and modalities that can be brought in, including private-public partnerships and just public finances. But to unlock, and also like climate finance, all of those are available. But then you have to think about how to unlock these finances. And that brings us to the last but most important part, which is regulation, to enable de-risking of financing. So from a financing perspective, the risks of unpredictable and inconsistent regulation is something that cannot be monetized. So from a financing perspective, to go into these projects and fund these projects, you need to have a regulatory framework that is very consistent across the board and across the years, and also very predictable. So to enable the regulations to give permissions, licenses in a timely manner, set tariffs so that the cost can be recovered, but yet thinking about the low-income households that they are trying to service, these all have to be balanced, right? So from ESCAP, from last year, working very closely with the ASEAN Center of Energy and also the ASEAN Secretariat and the Regulators Network, we have been promoting this idea of developing and establishing an ASEAN School of Regulation, which would help kind of bring all of the ASEAN regulators together and develop that much needed capacity that Rizky has been talking about, so that the regulators can play a key role in enabling that last mile electrification, and also enabling them to think about trading across borders and also integrating more renewables into the power system. So all that we're trying to establish and institutionalize knowledge through the School of Regulation. And the plan for the school is to be launched next year, hopefully. And then from then on, we hope that the school will be a very concrete platform for ASEAN regulators to cooperate, share knowledge, share best practices, and innovative ideas for reaching that last mile of electrification. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yejin. Yeah, noted on this, there's several challenges, what needs to be done in technology and then financial, and obviously the last mile is about the regulation as well that needs to be handled. So, moving on, I think we can move to the next point is that I think we've already hear about the SDG 7 progress on access of electrification. So I think let's move into the connection with the energy and climate, which is really at the heart of this discussions. And these, maybe would like to ask the question to Dr. Christopher. So Dr. Christopher, as you have observed ASEAN policies landscape evolve over the past few years, and also you've did your research that you've mentioned previously about the surveys. So how effectively do you think this energy climate narrative is being communicated and translated into real cooperation or policy change across the region?
Well, here we are talking about the synergy between energy and the climate. And in recent years, at the ASEAN level, we have seen that the organization has moved from viewing energy and climate as separate streams to treating them as a mutually reinforcing agenda. So we see that in the regional frameworks, in the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, and then also at the national level strategies, they now cross-reference both sets of targets, and then they talk about embedding clean energy and within the broader climate planning, right? And then when they talk about the NDCs and the long-term low-emission development strategies, we also see that they explicitly link renewable energy, efficiency, and climate adaptation into the plan. So I think the lesson here is that addressing energy and climate policies together creates a powerful momentum for the region as we undergo energy transition. And this energy transition is, in fact, at a broader level, the modernization of the region, right? Moving forward, using new technologies, growing new green economies. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And what I'll say is that every investment in clean energy is also an investment in climate solutions, right? Now coming back to the point about the narrative and the communication, I think we need to shift away from the rhetoric to the actual practice where we want to see real results. There are so many reports out there flagging the challenges we face. I think the government is aware of the problems that we face in the region, but the question is how do we translate that into actual policy? And that is the ongoing challenge. And for that, you need to have buy-in from the business people, buy-in from your general population, buy-in from your external stakeholders, and you need to be able to have a very coherent message when you talk about energy and climate in the region. And the way to do that is to have greater coordination and harmonization of your regulations to create a bigger market, to attract people to want to come and invest in the region. And also, you know, with all this uneven development going on, I think more needs to be done to help those who are sort of not able to catch up, to help them, you know, lift them up in the region. And collectively, if the region sees the benefit, I think it's good for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christopher. I mean, noted on your points there on shifting the narratives there. And also you've touched upon energy investments, so that leads me to the next question. From your view, so what can ASEAN do to strengthen its access and utilization of climate finance, especially to ensure that transition is just and inclusive across the region?
Yeah, on the point of climate finance, let me take one step back first. I'd like to refer to our survey. We did a survey about the willingness to pay by the general population for taking climate action, and we see that year on year there's greater willingness for the general public. There's greater acknowledgement that we need to take climate action, and more importantly, willingness to pay. So they're willing to pay a bit more in the form of a carbon tax to make sure that our region can, grow in a green way. And if we talk about climate finance, I think that's the missing link that can turn ASEAN's transition and the aspiration that's been mentioned into a reality, right? We need to be able to draw investors into the region. And as I've said before, this is where the harmonization comes into the picture. We need to create a bigger market to attract people. Right now, if we have 10 very separate and fragmented markets, it's a very high transaction cost for companies that are interested in investing in the region, but find that to navigate this whole maze is a very big challenge. Harmonization, we need to harmonize sustainable finance taxonomies to boost investor confidence, expand public-private partnerships for distributed renewables, and also try to do something with regards to the clean cooking projects. And I think the quicker ASEAN can scale up climate finance, the faster and fairer the energy transition will be.
Thank you, Dr. Christopher. I noted here on harmonization, I mean, there's still opportunities there to tap on the climate financing, and as well also the capacity, I think we've been mentioned here by my colleague Rizky and also. So we'd like to get back to the capacity part here, that achieving this SDG 7, SDG 13 interlinkage is not just about technology or investment. So it's also about having the right institutional capacity and knowledge network. So Rizky, could you share some of the key recommendations from the report on what kind of capacity building efforts or regional learning initiatives that are most needed to sustain this ASEAN energy climate transition?
Thank you so much, Ilham. So I think it's really a multidimensional question, actually. There is a lot of room for us to increase our capacity in terms of moving towards the good progress of energy access and also SDG 7, also SDG 13. But there are three type of capacity building that's needed. The first one is about how to increase to have the more knowledge in developing the decisions. So it's related to the capacity building, to the governance, or to the government, basically. So I think it's related to how to build the frameworks to let go everything that might become the bureaucracy in the beginning. So I think that's one. The second one is actually about the skills of the technicalities. So I think there are a lot of innovations that needs to be done. Yesterday, I just become one of the judge of the innovation competition done by one of the university in here. So I think the ideas coming from the youth, I think the previous session is also talking about youth. I think the idea coming from them is actually quite good, but they need to increase their own technical skills as well, because the idea itself is not enough. But if you do the math and then do the proper math, I think we need to improve here and there in terms of the technical skills. So I think innovation is also needed to increase I mean, it relies on how capacity buildings would be in the future. So that's for the technical skills. And then the third one is about how we can increase the capacity of people who understand to transform the climate goals and also climate actions into a bankable projects. So it's like a green financing. So I think at this moment, majority of the project of the climate-related goals is quite find obstacles because it's not providing any money. So I think it's really important to how to convert this, and then there's a lot of mechanism that might be important to understand, and then we need to have more and more people understand this type of knowledge. So I think that's why here ACCEP is providing the ideas of how we can increase the capacity building of the policymakers in ASEAN region, also to the youth, also to the researchers as well. I think we are trying to collaborate more with more and more people. So I think the problems that we face is actually become, I mean, it's all of us. It's because of the idea is to have the cooperations, and I think through the cooperation can be done through the capacity building. So I think those three become the crucial one, in my opinion, to move forward, to move the needle of us. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rizky. I think noted on 3 points here: governance, institutions, skills, and also capacity, how to make the projects bankable. So I think this is going to lead me to Prof. Yoon Young, as you're from the UNSDSN, which is obviously a huge regional platforms and also on academic networks. So how can regional platforms for ODS and other academic networks can help strengthen collaboration and shared learning among ASEAN countries, as currently we are trying to translate energy and climate commitment into concrete projects on the ground?
Thank you, Ilham. I think first, SDSN and other academic institutions, they need to be the bridge between academia and practice. So I think universities can set up formal structures that enable students to go see real-world sustainable development projects and participate in assisting the creation of these projects. That is hugely valuable for students who are studying sustainable development. And what is the risk of not doing that? The risk of not doing that is that the major career path for such graduates would be into the sustainability industry, where they help with corporate sustainability reporting. And the feedback from students is that very quickly they feel disillusioned about, they wonder, is this all there is to do after we have studied sustainable development? So we risk losing talent if this is their major option. So, but we know that if we can bridge them to real-world sustainable development projects, those projects, on-the-ground projects, are going to give them energy, continue to inspire them, and help them go further in this field that they already have an interest in. So that is one thing that I think academic networks can do. The second thing is about translating research into actionable tools. And dissemination needs to go beyond the publishing of reports and academic papers. And we can prioritize the release. Here, I would like to talk about open access and open application. So academia can prioritize the release of open source resources, open access resources. For example, ready-to-use data sets, models, and tools that can support immediate application and replication of results, findings across countries, as well as across different economic sectors. And also, I think these research findings can be synthesized and communicated through dedicated networks to a wider range of audience, especially to policymakers and to the practitioner communities This will help to ensure that research findings, they have a channel to shape and be integrated with the policy-making process, as well as influence investment-making processes. Back to you, Ilham.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very important point here to bridge the academic and also practice. What are the academic is given needs to also to be translated in the practice as well. So thank you for pointing out that perspectives. So I think we've already quite run out of time, but I still have one last questions to all of the panelists here. I mean, obviously everyone have shared their perspectives on energy and climate as well, and what needs to be done. So we've seen that how it's getting more closely, energy and climate interdisciplinary approach is getting more aligned in the future. And also the report that we've just launched from Rizky's presentation also highlights needs for integrated approach, bringing in right policies, financing, technologies, and also knowledge sharing across the region. And as we are continuing our aspiration here and also efforts on clean energy and tackle climate change, so it's important that these areas should be moved, like getting more integrated in the future, and then obviously all of them has to be hand in hand together. So, and then as we close this discussion, so would like to invite, what are your final reflections here or hopes, and how these two goals can continue to move forward together to shape a more sustainable and resilient future for ASEAN? Maybe we can start with Ms. Yijin and then continue to Rizky.
Thank you, Ilham. So to me, the climate and energy nexus is really about renewables. So how do we bring more renewables into the system while the demand in ASEAN is set to soar? So just thinking about the demand side, two examples, cooling needs and data centers. So for cooling needs, Southeast Asia, ASEAN region alone, are now, the air conditioning penetration rate is around 20%. So thinking about the future where there's economic development and household incomes rise, looking at the developed country air conditioning penetration rate, which is around 80%, the demand from just that is going to be enormous. And also, the ASEAN region is now becoming the hub for data centers. And in Malaysia alone, in the next few years, up to 2030, the increase in demand for just coming from data centers is said to be around 68 trillion watt hours. And this is, putting this number in perspective, the Singaporean entire energy consumption for 2023 was around 57 terawatt hours. So this exceeds the entire energy consumption of Singapore. So how do we meet this enormous demand growth? And how do we make sure that the demand growth is met through renewables and not through fossil fuels? So that is really the key question that we need to answer and find solutions for. And for me, that answer is really about grids. So the ASEAN power grid, very important because, you know, it will connect the region and make sure that the renewable energies flow from supply centers to demand centers. So that is really key. And the next one is also the national grids, because right now, renewable generation capacity is increasing massively due to increased investment. However, the grids are not ready to carry that increased renewable capacity. So the grids have to be modernized, and the grids have to be ready to carry more renewable. And then just the last point is that there's an increasing gap between generation investment and distribution, transmission, and storage investment. Usually, ideally, that ratio should be 1-to-1. But now generation, for every dollar invested in generation, only 60 cents is going towards grids and storage. So we must bridge that gap through innovative financing, through regional cooperation, and like the ASEAN power grid really is the main source where we want to bring all of the vast renewable potential within the region to the countries where the consumption is. So stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yejin. I think it's a very important point here. We need to also understand the emerging demand. So how can we then make this emerging demand? How do we supply this energy demand in a climate, and also how can it be supplied? Okay, maybe continue to.
Yeah, so I have two simple messages. First one is we need to move faster, right? Second point, there are 5 parts to it. We need to move together, right? Together meaning we need to keep in mind SDG 7 and 13. And as I mentioned, SDG 7 is the engine and SDG 13 is the compass. Second part of togetherness is we need to move as one ASEAN. So at the national level, there needs to be greater harmonization between the countries, so we move collectively as a region. The third, together, is as a community, no people is left behind, so we need to think about energy justice, make sure that this growth is more even. Fourth point, what the first speaker just said, which I just thought about, which fits very nicely with this concept of togetherness, is really the ASEAN power grid, right? Working together, having a regional power grid, cross-border electricity trade, I think that goes into the harmonization of the region. It fits very nicely. And finally, togetherness in terms of renewable energy generation, and together with grid investments and more investments and focus on the storage as well, right? Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christopher. Please.
Okay, as we continue to accelerate the journey of bringing energy development and climate action together, we will continue to do large-scale infrastructure projects. And these kind of projects will inevitably change our existing environment. So what do we do? Where is the balance? How do we balance infrastructure needs and ecological responsibility? I think it is through good systems design that we can have a chance of amplifying the benefits manifold over the costs that will come when we change the environment. So I think developing systems design, abstract thinking, which is crucial to reach systemic design, is important. And that is something that we don't talk about often. How do we develop abstract thinking? Second point is, I think we need to move beyond, I think the energy transition is more than an intellect, an exercise of the intellect. So we need to bring our hearts in. We need to bring love, kindness, and trust into all the things that we are doing for the energy transition. We need to ask this crucial question to ourselves and to the people around us is, what does it mean to live well together?
Yeah, I think I will not add much, but I just reiterate what has been said from the previous speaker. So I think agree about the interconnectivity. So it's not only limited to grid, but also maybe another supply chains because we also have the clean cooking access that we need to increase as well. So I think interconnectivity in terms of ASEAN power grid and also those supply chain interconnectivity within the region is really important. And then I will reiterate what Dr. Christopher mentioned. We need to move faster, as quick as possible, because the clock is ticking. So I think we don't have much time to debate about this is right, this is no. We need to go with the moral compass that we have in here. So I think also agree with Professor Yuno that we have to really put our hearts into the activity that we believe that it will be changing the future in terms of in a good way. So I think technology it will evolve, innovation will come, but I think the idea of having proper access, equality to everyone is something that we need to address as well. So the inclusivity is really important for us to for the people get the access of the equal access of energy, the equal access of clean cooking, and those kind of things is really crucial underlying every single works that we've done in ASEAN region. We have new targets of RE targets. We have also new EI targets under the new blueprint. This is something for me personally see this as opportunity. So there might be a challenge along with this opportunity, of course. But I think if we can do this together, I think it's really important to we can address it all together with all the communities and also from academicians, governments, and also private sectors. I think it's really important to move forward and also to move together. I think that's from my side, Ilham.
Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing those reflections. I just want to summarize all of this. I mean, know that on the emerging demands, I mean, we still have other demands. We electrify more things, and obviously, interconnection is going to be important if we want to also decarbonize our energy systems. And also, the need for faster, I mean, the clock is ticking, so we have to do it as fast as we can. And also, I think the important one is on system design and critical abstract thinking. So we need to also, this is a systematic problem, so what we need to solve this is it has to be systematic as well, especially we have more large infrastructure projects. So I think in summary, I think we still have a lot of work to be done. And I hope, I mean, hopefully it's also beginning. I mean, just yesterday we also published the APAEC 2026-2030 as our regional aspirations, and hopefully we can obviously work together on this energy agendas towards this energy transition and just an inclusive energy transition. So first, thank you very much, everyone, for giving your thoughts here. So please join me in giving a round of applause to the panelists here. Thank you very much for the engaging discussion. So with that, I would like to conclude this session. So my name is Ilham, I'm signing off. Thank you very much. And I'm handed the floor back to our MC for the closed session. Thank you.
Maybe before the panelists is going back, let us take a photo session first. Okay, please give a round of applause for our distinguished guest and panelists. So, ladies and gentlemen, just now we just witnessed a very insightful discussions about this new interlinkage between the SDG 7 and also SDG 13. And there were a lot of wide range of perspectives of linking the energy, climate, and also inclusivity within the ASEAN context. To officially close today's session, I would now like to invite Ms. Aldila Nur Rahimah, Project Manager of ACCEPT 2, to deliver the closing remarks. For Ms. Aldila, the floor is yours. Please give a round of applause.
Thank you, Indira. Good morning, everyone. What an engaging and insightful discussion we've had this morning. Now, as we come to the close of this session, allow me to share a few reflection and also words of thanks to close the session. So we began today, this morning, with welcoming remarks from Dato' Razib Daud, our Executive Director, delivered by Dr. Zulfikar Yurnaidi, and from Mr. Knut of the Royal Norwegian Embassy in Kuala Lumpur. And both, I think, reaffirming how strong partnership can drive ASEAN's clean energy transition forward. We then celebrated the launch of our new report, Advancing Clean Energy in ASEAN, leveraging the interlinkage between SDG 7 and SDG 13. This report, developed under the ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project, or ACCEP, highlights how stronger climate action can accelerate access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy in the region. I think through the presentation and panel, a few messages clearly stood out. First, energy and climate goals must move together. Achieving SDG 7 will depend on how effectively we act on SDG 13, aligning our energy transition with climate commitments. Second, I think collaboration is a key. No single sector can do this alone. Government, industry, academia, and partners must work hand in hand to turn policies into action. And finally, we were reminded that this transition must be just and inclusive, ensuring that communities and workers across ASEAN benefit from opportunities of a low-carbon future. And I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our panelists, Professor Leong, Dr. Len, Ms. Yejin Ha, for sharing their valuable perspectives. My appreciation also goes to Rizky, the lead author of our report, to Ilham, our moderator, and of course, to our wonderful Master of Ceremony, Indira, for keeping the session running very smoothly and with great energy. And thank you to everyone here for taking the time to be part of this dialogue. Before we close, I would like to mention once again that the new ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation 2026-2030, which now you can download from ACE website and listen to the presentation later today at 2:30, charts the next chapters of our regional cooperation. One that accelerates decarbonization while keeping people and inclusivity at its core. So to wrap up, I hope today's discussion leaves you inspired to continue connecting the dots between energy and climate, policy and practice, and ambition and action. On behalf of the ASEAN Center for Energy, I want to thank everyone to be part of this meaningful exchange. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the ASEAN Energy Business Forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aldila, for the closing remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, as my final statement to close this session, a just and inclusive energy transition will not only depending on the technology or infrastructure itself. It is also depending on the people and also the readiness of ASEAN people to move and to be the part of the transition. So as we wrap up these sessions, the conversations doesn't end here. It is only the beginning. Please stay tuned for our upcoming panel sessions in this room as we continue exploring new ideas. On behalf of the ASEAN Center for Energy, we thank you for every active participation. Please enjoy the rest of the day at AIBF here, and we look forward to seeing you again in our upcoming sessions. I'm Indira signing out, and thank you very much for your kind attention.